Hello, everyone. Welcome to VR Verdict Podcast, episode 71. I am PJ.
I'm Wookie.
We'd like to share VR with you. This episode, we're joined by G119 Productions. Garrett, working on the game Sail. I think you're only on side quest right now. Is that right?
We just got approved for App Lab this week, so
Awesome.
we are
Nice.
now on App Lab.
All right.
Very
So
cool.
we'll get your backstory, but why don't you tell us a little about your game and what you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sail is an open world VR pirate adventure game. It takes a lot of inspiration from games like Sea of Thieves, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and it's aiming to be, an open form multiplayer, pirate game where you and your crew can go find treasure, explore the sea, sink ships, fight skeletons, all that stuff. So yeah, that's a really brief overview of what it is.
And I've played the alpha a couple times, and it feels great. You kind of get a sense of where you're trying to get to, and I really like it. And I can't wait till me and this guy are sailing around. And we play Sea of Thieves a lot, or have, but you know how content thing, there's not a lot going on. So
Yeah.
but it'd be really great to do that in VR and just like man the cannons and do all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet once we get it all put together.
I'm going to take a cannonball right to the face, and record it. It's going to be like Evo.
What was your main inspiration to start working on a game of that magnitude?
I don't know, man. Like, I love VR. Like, I jumped into it. 3 years ago, right after like the Rift had just launched, the very first one, and I immediately saw the potential. Like, the first game I played, one of the first was the Berlin Blitz 1945. I don't know if you guys have played that.
Yep.
It's like an immersive experience where you jump into a B-22 bomber, and they used actual audio from World War II and simulated what it would be like to fly over Berlin and bomb it. And I was just blown away. I was like what else is there, And I started looking through the games and realized how much of a content drought there was. And I was like, you know what? Like, I can build stuff. Let's go for it. And so, yeah, I started throwing out ideas, and Sail's been the one that's had the most traction. So here I am.
Nice. Are you a team, or is it just you? Like, what's your setup?
Yeah, so for the past 10 months, I've been solo. But recently, I was able to acquire a little bit of funding. And so now I'm putting together my team, and we're trying to, build a full-blown VR studio. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Oh, I thought you said something. So, I don't know, like, I say this a lot on the podcast, like, you guys, developers, especially one-man teams, just like, hey, I'm going to do this, and just how you make that decision and kind of go for it is always just blows my mind. I don't know how you do it, but I'm glad you do it. There's so many great things happening in VR right now.
That's true.
So, how long have you been working on Sail?
So all right, this is a long story. So
It's all right.
Me and my brother, when we were like young, the thing that we were like, that we bonded over, that we were close with, was video games, right?
Yep.
And we were
Sounds
the types
familiar.
to talk. Yeah, I mean, like, we were the types to talk about, like, okay, like, how would we do this? How would we make a game? Or like, we would take the games that we loved and think about, like, how could we make this better, right? And so we've always talked about this. And then last year during the pandemic, we were kind of throwing out ideas and whatnot, because I had, in college, I had learned how to do virtual reality development because I was working for a professor who, before his time at my college, was working for the Department of Defense. building like augmented reality heads-up displays and virtual reality simulations. So I was working with him, and I was learning how to use Unity, specifically for virtual reality and stuff. And me and my brother were throwing around some game ideas, and he was like, dude, what if you could be a pirate? I was like, I like where this is going. Keep going. And we just started throwing around this idea about this game where you're a virtual reality pirate, you know, and what that would look like and what the storyline would be. And, you know, what would be the fun things? What would be the things to avoid? And, like, what would be those epic moments that would just, you know, like give you chills, you know, in VR? And so we talked about it, and then I was thinking about it in the middle of the pandemic as I was working from home and just sitting there in a Zoom class, and I was like, why don't I just try it? Like, why not? So, like, last year, it's almost a year today, actually, July 13th was when I pushed the first build. And the first build, all it was just a ship that you could walk around on, and it was sailing infinitely backwards because I did the thing wrong. And so it just sailed infinitely backwards. and all you could do was you could climb up and down like the rigging a little bit. It was super buggy, but I put that out on SideQuest with the name Sail, and I was like, hey guys, I have this idea for this open world VR pirate game. It will have this, this, and this. Download the game if you think it'll be a fun thing. And like within the week, I had almost like 500 to 1,000 downloads. Wow. Like people were so stoked about the idea. And so I was just like, whoa. And so I started in all my free time, which at the time I was working 3 jobs. I had recently had a baby girl. Me and my wife had just had a baby girl. And, you know, I was doing full-time college. And so in an hour and a half at night, when I had spare time, I would work on Sail. And so now a year later, you know, things are really picking up.
That's awesome. Yeah, the side quest just seems like a really great. Obviously, that's a great thing for VR, but for like indie devs and one-man team devs, like just having somewhere to get it out there and have eyes on it, it's been a really amazing thing. You said you had 500 downloads really quickly. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and like the VR community is so starved for content. Like SideQuest is this perfect place for people to just kind of throw ideas out there, and people will, you know, download it and give you feedback and stuff. So it's a great place to start a community too.
I remember in VR, it was just like a demo or something. I don't remember what it was, but you loaded it up and you were on like a pirate ship. And that right there was like, holy crap, we need a pirate game. Like this is just there was nothing to do. It didn't move. It was just, you're walking around on it. That was enough to be like, holy crap. So,
but it went forwards, right?
No, it didn't move at all. It was just a ship. You could just walk around on it. So
yeah, something everyone wants.
When you say you're working 3 jobs and doing school and just had a baby, how did that work? Like,
yeah, so I was working.
What's a day in the life of Garrett?
So I would wake up in the morning at like 6:37, get my daughter out of bed, help her get like fed and whatnot with the bottle, and then at 8 a.m. I had class until about noon, and then from noon till what was it, like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, like 3 or 4, 4 or 5, I would work as a system administrator. And then from like 4 or 5 till about 7, I would work as a Unity developer, building a little mobile app for one of the professors. And then from like 7 to 9, I would go to a hospital to clean offices. And I would clean up after like doctors, like their patients they saw that day and whatnot. And then I would get home like, you know, like 9:30, 10 at night. And I would usually have like, you know, an hour before like 11 o'clock I'd go to bed and reset and redo.
That's crazy.
14-hour days before you got to work on the game. Like every day. Holy crap. Yeah. You're making me feel real bad because like the pandemic goes by and all I've gained is like 10 pounds. That's it.
So that's not bad. That's not bad.
That's a lot of work. That's
well, that's all right. I mean, makes for a good story, right?
Yeah. So,
like, do you get to sleep now though?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be okay?
I actually work less now than I was working back then. So
nice.
That's good.
So with the game is still in alpha phase.
Oh, good.
Sorry. Just curious, like, what's your, not exactly your roadmap, but what's your plan? Like, do you plan on doing like a pre-release or like a beta, or like what are you looking at doing with that?
Yeah, so like with my community, I'm super open about like what we're working on and stuff. And so like anyone who wants to can join the Discord and become a beta tester. And I typically send them like builds of like updates before I push them out to the store and whatnot. So our plan right now, we have what's available right now in the game is basically like it's basically a bunch of features that will be in the game, you know, like there's a randomly generated treasure hunt, there's a ship you can sail around on, there's a cannon you can fire, you know, there's a map that shows you where you are. It's just kind of like a jumble of features. And right now what we're working on is to like arrange it into like a really good game loop, you know, something that's like compelling for players to do over and over again, compelling for people to, you know, well, and just like intuitive to do and stuff like that. And so like our plan is to like keep building it and keep letting, you know, the community test it, give us feedback, make changes based on their feedback. And then hopefully, you know, if Oculus ever tells us how we can get onto the official store, you know, we'll release, and hopefully we'll just have this big community that's helped us all along the way build the game that it is. So
nice. Just want a quick shout out to Madman Silver in the audience and Zed over here, who's maybe taking a nap. You guys hang around, we'll get you a couple free game codes later on. But so if you guys want to do we're trying a new show and tell part, so you've brought some assets from the game. If we take a walk over there, you want to just kind of go over them with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope Zed's okay.
Should I be following with the camera?
No, I got it. Well, I don't know, maybe for audio.
1 second.
Bring the creepy cameraman.
This is only our second episode in VR, so we're working out some. Oh my god! Here comes that.
Oh my gosh!
That's more horrifying than some horror games I've played in VR. Like I just want to kick him in the
head. Nice.
How's it going? Sorry, I tried to get down. I think I just had butted my mouse with the headset. All right, that should be fun.
All right, sick. Okay, so this is one of the ship models we have currently for the game. Unfortunately, you can't play on this right now. But like this is kind of the representation of like what the game will be like in the end. You know, we hope to have these big, huge ships, you know, where you and, you know, 4 other buddies or 5 other buddies can, you know, climb up the mast to the crow's nest, and you can put up the sails, put down the sails, fire the cannons, load everything up, and, you know, it's just going to be like such a great experience eventually, you know? And so this is one of the models we have. Like it kind of shows the style we're going for. We're definitely going for like a more low poly style that's like not so cartoony that it seems like it's only for kids, but, you know, like a stylized, like low poly thing that'll make people feel like a pirate. And then obviously we want to make it so that you can, you know, live out your pirate's life, whatever that may be. So yeah, this is one of the ship models. If this were in game, the way it would probably work is you'd have like someone steering the ship up here. You'd have someone that could like put the cannons over here and be loading and firing those. And then back here or up here somewhere, there'd be an anchor. And the way the anchor works right now, which I'm really proud of because it's so satisfying, is when you want to... What's that?
I just laughed, sorry.
Oh, no worries. So the way the anchor works right now is if you want to start going, you just like reel it in, you know? And then once you reel it all the way up, it's like your boat starts going and you have this anchor just sitting there. And so when you're ready to like stop, you just take the anchor and chuck it in the water. And
awesome.
Once it hits the ground, your ship just like comes to a halt. And it's like, oh, only something you can do in VR, and it feels so good and it's so cool. So yeah.
Let me ask you, with your intentions for this, and I don't mean to keep going to Sea of Thieves, but it's probably been probably one of the best pirate games we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
To control the ship, is it your intention to like have to use teamwork, kind of like Sea of Thieves makes you, or are you are you going for an approach where like you can just kind of do it one person type of thing?
Yeah, so we are building single player first with multiplayer in mind. And so the way that we're planning on doing this right now is we're going to make it so that if you play a single player, there will be AI that will take on the roles that, like, if you were playing with a full crew, they would do. Right?
Nice.
So like if you're steering the ship, you know, maybe there'll be an AI that goes over and mans the cannons for you, or an AI that puts up and down the sails, or at least adjusts it so it's always in the wind. So
nice.
We're trying to make it so that, like, I mean, our long-term goal is to make it multiplayer, right? So we're building single player with multiplayer in mind, and it's like you said, like, we're trying to make it so you can do it in single player, but you'll definitely see the need for multiplayer.
That's
all
awesome.
The little pulling the ropes and riggings and all that stuff is all very hands and manual. There's not menus or buttons unless you really need them.
Exactly. Like one of my philosophies with VR is like it should be immersive. It's VR, right?
Right.
And so I've tried very hard with what I've already done and with what we're gonna do to like take advantage of the things in VR. Like, yeah, I could make a button that you just press it and boop, the ship stops. But it's so much more fun to reel in the anchor and chuck the anchor over the edge when you want to stop. And like for the crow's nest, like I just barely implemented a zip line where like you grab it and it like shoots you up to the crow's nest, you know? And it's like, yeah, I could just make it a teleport spot where you point and jump up there. But instead, I'm going to zip line you up to the top and it's going to be so much cooler. And you're going to be like, this could only happen in VR.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was that you on Twitter that took that survey of that zip cord and people are saying no way in hell. And I'm like, hell yeah, that makes me feel like I'm in Assassin's Creed. So I'm glad you're sticking with it.
I actually, so this is a perfect example of like how I use my community, and like I'll build something like this and I'll be like, okay, what do you guys think? Like, is this better than a ladder? Like, is this like not as good as a ladder? And honestly, like it came back 50-50. Some people were like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And other people were like, I'm going to be so sick if you do that. And like, that was hard because I was like, okay, like what do I do to appease both people? And then someone from my community was like, bro, like just make that a part of ship customization. I was like, that's genius. So like in ship customization, I'm going to make it so that someone can say, hey, I want a zip line right here. Or they can say, yeah, I want to climb up a ladder to get to the crow's nest. And that's just another way that like people can make this pirate life whatever they want their pirate life to be, you know? So
when you say ship customization, how deep are we going with that? What are you talking?
All right. So I haven't really talked to many people about this, but this is my idea. So the way I want to do it is I want to make it so that somewhere on the docks, there's a little table where you'd see a model like about this size. It would be like about this size. And you'd be able to like pull stuff off and put stuff on. So like, let's say I wanted to have faster sails. You'd be able to pull this out and like put on a faster sail. And then you'd look at your real ship, and your real ship would have those sails that you just put on, like stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And then like one of the crazy things about like Oculus Quest in VR is you really have to push it to its limits. And you just kind of keep saying like, how much more can we put in the game? So like, I mean, if I could, like, I would love to make it so that you could take a paintbrush and, you know, make all the riggings a different color and make the hull a different color and the sails and, you know, paint your ship to be however you want it. And then like, if we could really, really push it, I'd love to make it so that you could paint your own custom flag. And then, you know, that flag will show up here, you know?
That'd be
like,
cool.
But like, this is just like stuff that we can try out. And if like doesn't kill the framework, cool, it's part of the game now. But well, it's all just a work in progress and kind of a to be determined based off of whether or not it works.
That's awesome. We kind of had the same conversation when we had Tommy Palm from Resolution Games on talking about Demio. I said if you could just have a part of the game, you sit there and paint miniatures and just hang out with your friends and do that. That'd be really cool. The same thing with the boats. You can kind of sit at that table and chat and kind of design stuff, and that'd be really neat.
Yeah,
'cause
like
if you have a party of 4 and you're waiting for the other 3 to show up and you don't want to start, sometimes it takes people, they got babies and 3 jobs. It might take them, 30 minutes to actually show up. So you could be painting and customizing your stuff if you're actually doing it with a paintbrush on like a model.
yeah, exactly. And like the other thing too is we're hoping that with customization, like it could kind of like play into the stats of the ship, right? So like if you decide to put 4 cannons down, like your ship's going to be a little bit slower because it's heavier, right? But if you decide to do 2 cannons and do, more expensive sails, like your ship's going to be faster, but at the expense of not being able to defend yourself as well. Stuff like that is going to be, kind of the immersive element and the strategic element of the game that makes people, play it over and over again for the sake of winning,
And I don't know how many, you probably don't know how many players you could have at once per thing, but that really would play to the strength of like your size of the crew you have. Like you only have 2 friends, you could really build that ship to work for you, and you'd have advantages over other ships type of thing. That's really neat.
We talked to a multiplayer guy this last week. I was kind of messaging him about exactly that, like how many people could we put in there? And he was saying for the scope of game that we have and we're wanting to build, we could probably get 8 people into a server at a time. And so whether that's, 2 crews of 4 people, 1 crew of 2 people, and another crew of 6 people, or just a giant crew of 8 people, like that's kind of what we're looking at, hopefully somewhere around there, which I feel like is a pretty awesome size.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's exactly like you said, like depending on how big your crew is, like sky's the limit.
Four crews of 2 people and everyone's speeding around. It'd be kind of fun to see little lively ports and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know you said you're starting single player with multiplayer in mind. Are you kind of looking to build like a PvE world, or are you trying to have like you could have different crews of people sailing around? Like, what's your goal with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to definitely do, an open world experience where like you can choose whether you want to go on a treasure hunt, or one of the mechanics I really want to implement is like a bounty system where like, you'll get a black spot and suddenly there's a reward out for you getting sunk, And
Nice.
so one of the things I really want to focus on is I don't want to force anyone into a certain pirate life, I want people to live out their pirate life how they want to. And whether that's PvE, where you go and fight skeletons and find treasure, or PvP, where you go and sink at someone for their bounty, or, just exploring, just sailing around the pretty world. Like, I don't want to force people into stuff. I want them to just have this almost sandbox where people can do what they want,
What's the
That's
combat
awesome to hear.
going to be like? Is it going to be just straight chopping swords and shooting a pistol?
Yeah, I'm very simplistic. Going to be, hand-to-hand combat, and then there's a pistol in the game right now that gives you a pretty good idea of how weapons will be. Simplified manual reload of like what a real flintlock pistol would be like. And then obviously ship-to-ship battle where you'll be able to shoot cannons, pull up alongside them, jump over and stuff like that. And
It's like going back to, of course, Sea of Thieves. That game's really pretty to look at, but it gets really annoying because the combat is just so weird for me. Like one day we'll be going through, I've got, 5-minute Xbox clips of just one of us single-handedly tearing apart a crew and like forcing their ship into the rocks and then shooting yourself back onto your own ship from the cannon. And then the next day you just can't hit anything with a gun or a sword. It's just like, did it break? Does it lag? What is going on here? So like all the way they do it, it's like so clunky. You aim right down the sights. It's just an instant snap, but it's just so awfully done. And I'm talking to you, Rare. Talking to you, Rare. It's just clunky. Like you can't make it work. So first thing in my mind when I played the alpha of it way back, and it's like almost the same game still to this day. You just like the first thing I thought was like, I need to do this in some sort of VR, or it's never going to be good because like
exactly
there's no auto aim or anything like that. Which I don't like auto aim, but it's just like just rigid, dead, snap to your eyeball. I'm like, this needs VR.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of stoked to see this just take over. I hope it does.
Yeah. We hope so too.
It's like,
Hey, Madman, do you have any questions or comments? Do you want to get in on the action here?
I've
If
got
not,
a couple
that's cool.
questions actually. First one, which has been on my mind since we got over to the ship here. Are you able to jump off of your ship into the water?
You are.
How do you
Nice.
get out of the water?
Nice. Okay, so right now the way it works in the game is if you fall off the ship and you get a certain distance away, a little raft will just kind of spawn and it'll pop up, and then you swim over to the raft, and then that will teleport you like back onto like the main part of your ship.
Okay, so
Nice.
one of the things that's coming to my mind, what if your friends were able to throw a lifesaver out to you while you're in the water to pull you back on?
That would be awesome, dude. That's a great idea.
It could be very tactical because you could throw the floaty and then there'd be like a rope attached to it and you can literally pull your friends in if you wanted to. That would be a lot of fun.
That
Well,
would
and
be
it would be interesting in multiplayer because your friends are gonna get so mad at you when they're like, "Dude, now I have to pull back around. Why'd you fall off?" You know, stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's gonna be like, that'll just make for good like banter on a crew.
Because you're going to have that one asshole walking like the way up the front, whatever I mast thing. Yeah, they're going to walk up that and be like, "Arr." If you implement some sort of drinking in the game where they wobble, not that you wouldn't be arc, you barf. To Madman's point, they're going to fall off. So yeah, if you could just throw them a rope, and if the rope just sort of sat there, even if the ship's still going, like the rope is still kind of the end of it, still where you threw it, that would be fucking amazing.
That's a great idea. Thank you for that. I might try that out this next week.
Tie
Awesome.
ropes
Another
to people
question.
and then throw them off. Like if they're pissing you off, like that. Well, you got that one friend who's doing it. Just tie a rope and say, if you fall off, it's your own fault. He's just getting keel hauled and shit.
Having the ability to make someone walk the plank would be awesome.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
Looking down off that into a shark-infested water, I'd have nightmares.
Oh,
actually.
there's gonna be stuff hidden in the waters that you're not gonna like. So
I love
Fall
that. I love underwater crap, so I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully there's like treasure hidden here and there.
Do it for people.
yep.
And for the listeners who
Another-
aren't watching, oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Another question I had was how simplified or in-depth is the rigging systems going to be? Is it just going to be like two ropes, just like in Sea of Thieves, where it's just one that controls direction, one that controls how rolled it up or how rolled up it is, or is it going to be more in-depth than that?
Yeah, I definitely want to go for a more simplified approach. I call it practically reality. It's, taking things that are pretty complicated, because like rigging on a real pirate ship is freaking complicated, like there's a reason you have to have like 120 persons per ship to be able to like sail the seas. It's not easy, but yeah, like having a simplified rigging system makes it so that like, yeah, you
What
still
the
have to do
fuck?
stuff and it's still fun, but like it'll still be enough to make you feel immersed.
Nice.
That's good to hear. What I was thinking for the listeners who aren't looking at a video of this, just the audio podcast, we're looking at just a little, white gray skinned, untextured model, but it's like the classic fat little pirate ship, like the boat, like the keel, like the potbelly boat, but like the back end where like the captain's cabin is, all the little windows and doors and stuff, and the little plank back there brings me back to, I think I have one of the Pirates of the Caribbean Lego pirate ships on my desk back there. And when I was a kid, I always wanted the real old Lego pirate ones. But just like being able to customize anything to do with that down there and be able to like move stuff around, not that you are planning to or could do anything like that. My brain's just like, I want to get in there and investigate all those nooks and crannies and
Yeah, like
hide treasure in there and stuff.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see like how much the quest can handle.
Right.
Because like if I could have it my way, I would love it for you when you jump into the game to spawn like in this room in your like captain's quarters. You spawn in there, and then like maybe if you found some treasure that was really cool, like it'll be up on your shelf as kind of like a hey, like you did this type thing, and you'll be able to walk out here onto your cool ship that's saved the way that you customized it and whatnot. But again, like the quest is so limited, like we just keep putting stuff in and kind of seeing like, well, what can it handle,
It's the same way my brain goes at stuff. I'd have to make things like that so modular, like where that's really awesome, we'll put it in there. And then when we have to put in, the throw in a rope to your buddies, it's like, well, that takes way too much stuff. We're going to have to go back and uncheck that box, and that module's gone for now because the quest is such a weak tit sometimes.
Yep,
Sky's the limit with this stuff.
it really is.
And it goes to show like people are so starving for like especially pirate content, not just the drought for like just VR stuff, just pirate content, that like Sea of Thieves and then like you said Black Flag. Since Black Flag, the only pirate game I've ever liked was the old Pirates Gold on Sega, like Genesis, and then Black Flag, and then Sea of Thieves. And for Sea of Thieves fans, they don't care that hardly anything gets put in there. They're just diehard fans playing that game all the time. Like the customization, you got to go to like the little ship box or whatever and customize your ship every time you log in. And people are fine with that. And I'd be like,
Nope.
I've done that twice. Just remember it, damn it. You know, they're so starved for that content. It's just a wide open field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think VR is cool because I think a lot of people are using it as, you know, their social experience, you know?
Mhm.
And so, like, with customizing your boat and customizing your character, it's going to be ways for you to show off, you know, what kind of social person you are, you know? What kind of pirate are you? Like, are you wearing an eye patch? Are you wearing a hook? Like, what are you, you know? And so I think customization is a big part of a lot of the, like, successful VR games. They've all put in customization that allows people to, you know, express, like, who they are and what they like. Like, yeah.
It gives you something to work towards that's not just like, you know, end game armor from like Warcraft or something like that. Because the more you can customize, the more you get like an attachment. Like PJ and I joke about, I don't know if we talked about that in a different episode, but recently, going back to Sea of Thieves, when I'd created my character, like in Sea of Thieves, it gives you like a random couple of characters and you got to like kill them to get a new random one generated. And I'm crazy about character customizations. When a new game comes out, it's just sort of like, I'll see you in 2 days. Like we all buy it on launch day and I'm like, I'm in the character, like making my character for like 2 days straight. So it took me about 8 hours to finally pick, I don't know how long I was in there, to finally pick one. And I felt bad because I was killing all these random characters. And I finally picked one. This is the guy. You know, people for that stuff. And the pirate stuff is just so underdone. It's like, they went really weird with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and half the people didn't care how weird it was. It was like, I'm still going to go see him in the theater. That's so many cool things about this boat.
Zed, welcome back. Any questions or anything?
I missed a bit, but I'm glad to be back. Is this the model that's in your game?
So no, this isn't the current model. This is kind of one of like I was telling these guys, this is like a embodiment of what we plan. This is like what we hope to be. The model that's in the game right now is like this big, and it has a crow's nest and one sail, and that's about it. So
all you need.
I totally didn't try to do this, but I heard some boat trivia. I want to see if anyone knows this. I just heard this randomly today. I'm like, oh, that'll be perfect. Do any of you guys know the difference between a ship and a boat?
No.
No? I didn't either.
No.
So the only difference between a ship and a boat is a ship has a boat on it.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
Boat.
Okay.
Yeah, any size boat.
But if any boat, even one as big as this one, doesn't have a littler boat, does that make it a boat?
That's a boat.
Technically a boat.
So we're looking at a boat here.
My God.
What about those giant container ships that have other like actual container ships on the ships?
That's a ship.
How many boats?
It's like a grand ship.
Yeah, what's it called when you have a ship on a ship?
A shipping ship of ships. Shipping ships.
A ship shipping ships. Love it.
I did also want to ask about your experience with SideQuest. Just from what I caught before, you had hardly even a prototype, and you put it on a store for people to access. That sounds insane, but like it worked out really well.
Yeah, so SideQuest has been incredible. Like the difference I think between SideQuest and places like itch.io and Steam and some of these other places where a lot of people go for indie content is I think SideQuest people expect stuff that's in the works and like maybe just kind of a prototype or an idea. And because of like the way the VR community is, like the VR community is incredible. Like I was telling these guys earlier, I put not even a prototype. It was like a glorified billboard that I put up with an idea of what could possibly go, you know? And almost 500 people downloaded it and begged me to start a Discord server to start building a community. And like that kind of community is what is making like the next big VR games so much fun, because like that's what they get to start out with, is people who just so badly want to see new games succeed. So SideQuest has been amazing. The founder, Shane, he has done such an incredible job. He's like reached out to devs like me personally and like given us tips, given us resources. Like that, the whole organization they have going right now with like SideQuest and everything is just, it blows me away. Like it's just, the community is awesome. The support is awesome. The ideas and the games that are coming out of it are awesome. Like it's truly a cool internet experience that you don't find in many places.
And that's just from a dev perspective. Not that I'm a dev, but I'm imagining that just makes it easier to continue work when, if you didn't have that, you'd be in a room by yourself, and it's like, I don't even know if someone's going to care about this or give a shit. Like, you just kind of doing it because you want to. But with the Discord and SideQuest community, you get feedback, and I'm sure it gets you excited and helps you continue.
Yeah,
otherwise you might not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like had I put that game out there and like 2 people had said, "Bro, this is the worst thing ever," like I probably would have dropped it and moved on to something else. But instead, like I got people who were just like, "Oh, pirate game, let's go! Come on, let's get this." And it's been a year now, and our Discord is almost up to 600 people, and the game just passed 35,000 downloads. Like,
Jesus.
it's crazy.
Nice.
So with the development and everything, I'm sure you don't have a set date or anything, but like, are you planning on like a full release, or kind of doing like a early access for a year type thing? Like, do you have a plan for that at all?
Yeah, so right now, kind of with the funding I've got and the team that I'm starting to put together, like I'm trying to put the funding towards like a 6-month timeline to have something that could be put on the store, if that makes sense. We're trying to make it so that early 2022 we have something that we could either A, put on the store and start making some money that way, or B, use it as this amazing prototype to go out to, publishers and, other investors and just say like, hey, we have an amazing community, we have an amazing game, we need a little more money to make it even bigger, So 6 months time, we're going to have something that's going to be, if not the final product, very, very close, and very much something that hopefully everyone is on board with. So that's the goal, obviously. I mean, like today, I had like 5 different things happen. The power went out where I was working, and my Oculus Quest decided that it didn't want to charge anymore. And, the bank called with all the problems that banks can come up with. And so, like, ish happens, and you just got to roll with the punches. And so if it doesn't happen in 6 months, that's fine. But that's kind of our goal, 6 to 8 months.
Nice.
Good to have an aggressive schedule, and good to have the flexibility to say, oops, the power went out. So it's good.
Yep.
Very good. I can't freaking wait. I don't even know this game was out. I'm going to have to go try the demo or whatever you got. Like,
no, that's why I appreciate you guys like reaching out and being willing to invite me on the podcast, because there's a lot of games like my game that, they just need a little bit bigger, like a little bit of help getting like the word out about them,
Yeah.
Mark,
so like, thank you guys so much for letting me come on.
Oh, anytime. And we encourage people to come back with like final releases or updates of any kind. It was funny, like, and we've said this on our podcast before, but we started the podcast. We've had another podcast for like 5-6 years, whatever. But we started this one, and it was just in Wookie and I talking about what we've played and stuff. And
Some
just kind of noticed like
peripherals we like.
yeah, I just started talking to devs on Twitter and stuff, and it's just like they're all just saying like it's so hard to get a game out, and it's like, well, we're doing this thing. If you want to come talk about it, that'd be awesome. And then ever since, we've had a guest every week, and it's funny because in my mind I'm like, how long can that really last? But it is insane how many people I talk to in a day that are like, oh, that'd be awesome. Can we come talk and stuff? And even for the devs, like, not even to promote their game. Like, we've had many devs say, you're the first people I've talked to in like 6 months. So it's like,
Come up for air.
yeah. So
Crawl out of the
we
cave.
just like to hear like the backstories and what you guys do and how you do it and why you do it is always impressive. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's nuts.
I think it's
It is
inspiring to
crazy.
everybody just to hear people like, you know, you started with an idea, you and your brother talked about it, and you just started making it happen. There's a lot of people that, you know, they have an idea, they know people start with ideas, but how do you get from A to Z? So hearing a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears and how you put the rubber to the road is fantastic for people, because there's got to be hundreds of people out there, thousands, millions that are just like, how do I break out of a, you know, not just break out of a 9-to-5er, but break out of that mentality of I work and I sleep and I work and I sleep.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
And the other thing is, and like just looking at this model is like, I want this game tomorrow. Like, I want to play it. I know how selfish and how much of an asshole that makes me in your eyes, but you know, it also helps people hear the real story that are, you know, online, where it's like, well, you made this game and this sucks about it, or this and that. And it's like, if you guys have a chance to like explain it and like what you really go through, people might get an idea and be like, okay,
Yeah.
take your time, do what you gotta do. Because I hate
No,
seeing that, because I know how hard it is. But
No, it's funny because I don't know if this is just like how I am, but like I've had a lot of like haters turn into like very loyal followers. like I think it was like a week or so. It might have been the same tweet that you replied to, where I kind of put it out there, and like a bunch of people replied, and one person got on there and was just like, "Bro, this is the worst. Like, this isn't Sea of Thieves. This is Sea of Crap." And I messaged him
geez.
back. I messaged him back, and I was like, "Dude, this is amazing feedback. I would love to have you on my Discord server as a beta tester." And like he DM'd me, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I've got a lot of feedback for your game." And I was like, "Great, bring it on, dude. I need all the feedback I can get. Like, it's in pre-alpha." And you know, he downloaded the game and gave me just brutal feedback. But like, I was so happy about it because I need that. Like, I need some people to come in and just be brutal with the game to tell me like, this is bad, this is off, this is wrong. And as much as great as like the lovers are of the game and stuff, like sometimes you need some haters to come in and just say, this is bad, this is bad. And if you tell them like, hey, thank you for that feedback, let me try to address it. Like that guy's in my Discord server every day talking to people now, you know? And so like, I think devs also, like, it's hard because like it's a personal piece of work, you know? Like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
my game, and someone calling it crap, yeah, it hurts. But if you can see past like the personal assault and see the genuine feedback that they're trying to get at because it like bugged them in some way, like it really does help.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get feedback and all you get is like, oh, I love it, it's great. It's like, okay, what do I do? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what doesn't work? So
And I'm
So,
sure a lot of
and I-
people just don't understand how complicated. Like, you could sit there working on one chunk of code for like 6 months. Like, you can't think about, oh, it doesn't feel right when I walk. Like the foot, the walk cycle doesn't really look like the foot is connected to the ground, and millions of little stuff like that. You don't think about that. You're like, the fucking flag's not attached to the mast. What the hell's going on? You know, just little shit like that. And Unity and all other game engines are just like, you could have a scale
Yeah.
problem. Load my boat in and I can't find it. Well, it's the size of a rock on the beach. You know, like, oh shit, 1,000 times.
Yeah,
Run
exactly.
into that shit. And people are like, what the fuck? Your shoulders are stiff. I'm like, fuck. We have a buddy that works in, I think he works for BioWare now in England. And I showed him a demo reel ages ago. And he's like, your shoulders are stiff. And I'm sitting there like working my fingers at the bone at like a job and doing animation side. And I'm like, dude, like, yeah, your shoulders are so stiff. I can go fuck myself all day long. Your shoulders are so stiff. I'm like, shut up. I didn't ask you. They don't know. He does. It's like, I'm glad you were able to, make friends with that guy, but some people just need to learn to,
Yeah.
one-man show. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really great to like have good feedback and stuff, but
Your number one fan is awake.
yeah, I got my daughter in here.
Nice.
Hey, sweetheart. She's wondering what the heck I'm doing.
Daddy's
Where
talking
did
to
your eyes
himself
go?
again.
Put a sticker of your own face on the front of your mask. Hey, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
So
What a nightmare.
when you're able, we've talked about the ship. Let's go talk about the treasure chest over here.
Yeah,
Let me,
sounds good.
Move my guy.
All
Come on,
right.
twin Wookie.
Yeah, let me get my eyes on this.
We need like a baseball bat in here to hit it.
Whenever you're standing next to
Move
it a
the
second
camera
ago, it
guy,
just
just-
looked like a mini U.
Yeah.
You need like the shuffleboard thing or whatever, like just
Yeah.
reposition him with a stick.
Oh
I
man,
want this
this is
to be
so much
textured.
bigger.
So they won't be this big in the game?
Well, I was just thinking about it because like typically it's like about the size of like a suitcase in the game, and so
'Cause
but like
I want
one of
nothing
the
more to do than Scrooge McDuck this thing right now.
Like fill your pockets.
Do some
exactly.
backstrokes.
So like right now right now the treasure chest is about the size of a suitcase, and you have to go find the key to it. And then once you get the key, like you got to stick it in your inventory or stick it in one of the like kind of side holsters you have. And then when you get to it, you stick it in. And this is like one of the things. This is another thing that I'm so proud of because it's one of those cool VR only experiences. But I made it so that you take the key and you stick it in and then turn it. And then when you click it, like there's a little feedback and a click when you turn it.
That's awesome.
The thing just kind of like swings open and you look inside and there's your treasure, And so like just another incredible thing about like making this game in VR that I couldn't do anywhere else was just like creating that feedback of like you put in the key and you turned it and click, there's your treasure, And so
Not that you have to do this, but instead of it opening by itself, what if you have to like lift it open and then you're like making it open? Like, oh god, that's cool.
yeah, no, like I actually originally that's how I had it, but you would not believe how difficult it is to make a door swing open manually in VR. Like the doors in VR are kind of difficult, even though it seems like it should be so simple. Like they're like that whole hinge movement and like bringing it up, and it's kind of a nightmare. But
Got to be stuck to
Hopefully
your
someday.
hand. Yeah, like
yeah, so I went with the animation thing because it's kind of like it's like a visual and I don't know. There's something about it. Like when I finally got to work, I was just like, oh, this is it.
that's awesome.
So yeah, so you open the chest and then inside is treasure, and then you can take that treasure back to like the main island and you can sell it, and what you sell it for gets saved to like your coin count. And then right now the only thing you can spend coins on is you can buy a pistol with it. And so like if you want to go buy a pistol, you like take the picture of it off the wall and you place it on a table, and then you can grab your coin pouch and like put it on the table, and then poof, there's a little pistol for you to grab. And then
Nice.
after that, every time you jump in the game, the pistol just like appears on the wall for you to use. And yeah, so like that's gonna be like the game loop, Go find treasure, sell it at the main island, use that money to buy guns, cosmetics, ship upgrades, all that kind of stuff.
Neat. Just looking. So do you plan on with we're almost at time here. Like we can talk all forever. I never want to hold we tend to hold people up sometimes, so just tell us to shut up. Just curious,
No
like
worries.
in the game, like do you have quest type things planned or like treasure maps, or what do you got going on?
Yeah. So the hope is that we're going to be able to make it so that like there'll be treasure hunts that will spawn at the main island. You'll be able to like pick up a map and it'll tell you, okay, the key is here and the chest is here. And so you'll sail to that island, and as you're sailing to that island, we're planning to make AI like race you to it, basically. So there's going to be like an enemy pirate team that will basically race you to the key, or maybe they'll be chilling at the treasure island, circling it, so that when you come up, like you'll have to fight them, or maybe they'll be like at the treasure chest, waiting to have some hand-on-hand combat with you, you know, and then. Or maybe they'll be waiting for you on your way back. So after you get the key and the treasure, maybe you'll have to fight past a ship to get to the mainland to sell it and stuff like that. So that's kind of the basic quest system that we're hoping to have. Like I said before, we're also hoping to do stuff like bounties, where you can do like go hunt down a ship and get paid if you bring back their flag or something like that. It's like something cool like that. And we do plan on doing kind of a bigger, more of an Easter egg type treasure hunt. Something that will require like multiple steps and lots of exploration and kind of, stuff like that to spawn more of a Easter egg type deal. So
nice. So with the world, is it going to be handcrafted, generated?
Yeah, so this is another one of those like to be determined things, but we're planning on there at least being a bunch of like set islands that will always be the same, so that like we could do kind of more like more riddle type things. Like I think that would be fun to like make the treasure hunt a little bit more of a riddle, and like only by playing the game and being familiar with the environment will you be able to solve it. But I love the idea of procedurally generated islands and stuff, maybe like out beyond the map where you can just like go, and every time you go out there, like to the uncharted waters, it'll be a different experience. But again, like we don't know if the quest can handle that. We don't know if, the game can handle that. So it's another one of those like to be determined things. So, but right now we're leaning more towards the fixed islands and maybe some procedurally generated stuff out beyond the edges of the map.
Awesome. That sounds like a good mix.
Yeah.
Madman, Zed, you got any questions on any of that?
Stroke the beard.
See, I really wanted to love Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
And I don't know what quality about it really turned me off, but I don't know. Like so I hear you talk about this, and VR is a big plus, but like I don't know what. Like I wish I had the words to explain why I didn't like Sea of Thieves, so that I could tell you, and then you could make this game better, and then I would like this for sure. But, yeah.
If you figure it out, do tell me, because I'd love to know.
I mean,
there's a lot to like about it, but with the content or lack thereof is my biggest thing. So
that was always my thing with Sea of Thieves. It was I started playing it when it originally released. I pre-ordered the game and I played it for weeks and weeks, and they never released any new content, so it was all just these simple procedurally generated like riddles or just X marks the spots kind of go find the treasure things, and they have added quite a bit of content since then, but in the early days it was very much a pretty static loop of just find a treasure map, go grab the treasure, go sell it, find another treasure map. And it wasn't entertaining enough for a long period of time.
And the other thing for me is they have these cool things that happen, but they happen every 10 freaking minutes. Like a megalodon pops up and is chasing you, or the whatchamacallit,
that's what
Kraken.
For us
every 10 minutes
Kraken,
grabs your ship. It's like, that would be awesome once a week. But I have a half hour to play. I got this chest. Leave me alone.
You got to make those kind of things like, it's got to be a story. That's what it always has been. And something like a legend like that, it shouldn't happen often. It should be something that, I encountered the Kraken. It was really cool, but really scary. If, that happens to everybody every time they play, it's not so entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've definitely have a plan for like a mega beast, and we're gonna like we're hoping that's like one of the end of the Easter egg things, you know, like you do the end of the Easter egg and the final boss per se is, you know, one of those mega baddies, you know. But like, yeah, it's interesting because we hired a game designer, and we've been talking about like, you know, like what makes this different than Sea of Thieves? What can we, you know, take from them? What can we take from Assassin's Creed Black Flag? And, you know, what can we do that's totally novel that no one's ever done before? And one of the things that I really want to play on, and we've been kind of throwing the idea around, and is like the idea of maybe doing some kind of like creed system or like clans where like if you get treasure, like it goes towards your clan, and maybe all the clans are competing, and you can see the stats of all the clans, and you can have a little bit of rivalry between clans and stuff like that. And, you know, stuff like that will make it, you know, a little bit more competitive than Sea of Thieves was, and more of a community builder. So we're looking through stuff like this. We're trying to figure it out.
Well, when we released the audio version of this, definitely put in links to like your Discord and all that stuff. So
Absolutely.
anyone listening to this, definitely check that out and get on the Discord.
It's a bumping community.
Before we wrap up, is there anything we didn't talk about that you'd like to share about the game or your story or anything like that?
No, we pretty much covered everything. But I mean, I'd love to. I want to say, like, anyone who's got an idea out there, if a kid working 3 jobs with a kid and a wife can do it in college, like, you can too. Just try it out and see what happens. Like, the VR community is very forgiving and so willing to support good ideas. So, like, if you have an idea out there, just like do it. Like, I bet you it'll be better than you think.
Nice.
Yep.
And
Oh,
with
you just
that,
went
he
through the
fell
floor.
through the floor.
That's your
barf.
off switch. You just oh there.
Oh, there.
Oh no! I'm by myself. I'm sitting by myself outside. I'm just sitting by myself outside. Okay. Wait for my turn. To drop to the floor. Yes. Looking at the sign, PJ spelled my name wrong. Come on. Well, they're all coming back. Oh, what's up?
I say bye, but then it just dropped me through the floor.
Yeah, everybody dropped. Except me, which means my turn's probably coming.
Probably.
That was an experience.
They kept getting faster.
Did you hold on to your cookies, or did those come out?
Oh, trust me, you guys haven't experienced a freaking pirate ship going helicopter status in VR. Like, I can.
Oh man, the sea legs.
I've got more than sea legs, mate.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Again, anytime you want to come back, share updates or anything, like, we'd love to have you. You seem like a great guy doing a good thing, and whatever we can do to help, we would love to help. So,
Yeah. No, thank you guys so much for letting me come on. This has been a blast. This is an awesome podcast. You guys are doing good stuff. Thank you.
I appreciate it. But thanks, Zed and Madman Silver over here for joining the audience.
Yeah.
Stick around. Again, I get you some game codes for some fun stuff. Anyone listening, this has been episode 71 with Sale and G119. Is it? I want to say G119 Productions. What do you call it?
I do. I've done both. I usually say G119.
Okay.
But
I'm lazy,
whatever.
I guess.
It's fine.
G119.
That's just bad. That's just bad.
I don't know which one of you said that, Wookiee, but stop it.
That asshole, the copy.
All right, guys. I got to head
Thanks,
out.
everyone,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, hanging out, and catch us later. But for this episode, I am PJ,
Wookie.
and this is our VR verdict. All right.
That was good.
So is the verdict like good? Was it a good verdict today?
I think so.
We haven't had a bad verdict since we started having guests. I'll say that.
Okay.